Alright guys, so I'm going to be talking about the effect of social media on like the political nature of 2K16. So we all know that this year has been quite a crazy year, both in the political realm and just the social realm. And this is projected through our screens on our smartphones every day. We check it. We check our phones on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat, see what happened to whatever event happened. So we all know we had the deaths of both our beloved Harambe and Bantu. We watched Donald Trump rise to presidency through a series of memes and just kind of standard political banter. And on a more serious note, we witnessed a series of police shootings that were live streamed through both Snapchat, Facebook Live, and Periscope. And it's just been crazy. And at the center of this all of this is our social media. Now, all this content that we see is caused by a flood of information. So if you think about it, there's billions of people out in this world, and 1.79 billion people are on YouTube, or not YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr every day. And all these people have the ability to post their own content and comment on other people's content. So what do you do with all this information that you see? You only have, let's say, an hour to check your social media. You have to be able to filter through all your different accounts, your feeds. So this causes a bubble effect that starts with one post. So you have one person that posts something and it gains a viral following. And what this does is reinforce certain stigmas that are created in our society. So not even stigmas, just anything in general. So you have things that have generated from our generation, such as memes, which people will relate to. So on political nature, we have people reposting things that strictly follow their worldview, which is a major problem because we only will post things that are interesting to us and we find other people find interesting. So this could help advertisers and news outlets sort of control what people are more interested in creating a bias that can be kind of devastating. Now, all these social media platforms have a way for marketers and major outlets to figure out their audience through, for example, like Twitter analytics, where they can see the age, the gender, the region, and more specifically, like what political standings people have, what foods they like, what kind of topics interest them the most, so they can market towards that audience. So we have, more specifically in news media, we've been seeing a lot of Donald Trump lately. Actually, post-election, a little bit less, but the reason for this is mostly because of the things he says, which spark a major interest that news media can generate revenue off of. And it's created quite a divide because people have been only seeing this sort of like necessarily like hate speech that could be or could not be misquoted, but it's all basis from sensationalism. We've had this is the post-election by Trump Tower, which happened like almost instantly, and it was caused mainly from gathering around Facebook and Twitter, and a lot of the people like believed that he was able to do something right away, right when he got inaugurated, or he hasn't even gotten inaugurated, and they're already protesting on certain policies that he hasn't necessarily said. And a lot of this is caused by like the media only focusing on one aspect of that supports one viewpoint. And this little graph here from MIT kind of shows a divide in the topics that people have been talking about on social media, and the majority of it has been from Clinton supporters, where you didn't really see any activity from Trump supporters on social media, because again, there's so much content that people will only repost and like post things that agree with their worldview instead of taking the time to understand other worldviews of other people, which creates a bigger divide. Most of what we saw was immigration and racial issues on social media, where the rest of it was silent. And anytime someone, like, it's definitely a problem on some things that people will side with, but if you block out other people's voices and shun their voices, it really creates a biased media platform. So if you had a Trump supporter post something on social media, they're almost instantly bashed for whatever it was. So like their viewpoints on gun control and education were the only two things that were talked about the most. And going back on everything on social media, how everybody can post certain, like, their own content, it led to a rise in citizen journalism, which is both a good thing and a bad thing, just because it gives everybody a voice, but because everybody has a voice now, they have to be clear on their site, their sourcing, and actual flow of information. So the problem with citizen journalism is that you can have misquoting, you can have misinformation, and it also goes back to people will write on their blogs what they agree with without ever combating their own biases, and then people repost that, so it creates a viral spread of not credible information or sourcing. So a good example is this. This was like taken back like in the 90s when Trump was just a businessman, and this was actually used in a Clinton commercial where he says, "When I come home and dinner's not ready, I go through the roof." It was used to support like an anti-feminism side that Trump has obviously gotten a lot of attention for. Now, not saying that he supports like misogyny or whatnot, but this was taken out of context, because if you think about it, he's not talking about his wife here. If he's a millionaire, he's not going to have his wife cook, he's going to have his kitchen staff cook for him. And if he doesn't have his dinner ready and he pays for them to cook for him, I feel like everybody would be pretty mad about that. So with all this information, it's really hard to decide what you believe in and what's worth your time looking at. So it creates this massive bias that gets recirculated over and over again, to where it's like conditioning us to only see one side of things without taking the time to really fully analyze the information that's being displayed to us. And right here's a really good example of this. It was by Huffington Post, and it was actually a test on this exact subject, where they posted a fake news article that got like 33,000 reposts. And if you look at the the headline, it says Bernie Sanders could replace President Trump with this little known loophole. Now people would repost this thinking this was actually true, but they never actually read through the article. What the article talked about is how nobody takes the time to really read what they're reposting. That's like the entire point of the article, and he's just like, this is really dangerous. He quoted, hold on, comedian John Oliver, where the most important thing in a functional society is a well-informed public, but what we have here now is not only misinformed, we have malinformed and misinformed people, which creates a massive break in society, to where like we'll barely read what we repost and whatever we believe is true, because we don't actually take the time to read through it all. So what you can do to solve this problem, definitely read before you share information. Check the sourcing on the articles that you read, and then view multiple outlets instead of just, for example, CNN or Fox News. Go to other viewpoints, maybe from other countries on certain issues, and see their take on the information. You have to understand the target of the target audience of the news provider, so you can make sure that you're not falling within like a marketing trap or advertising trap. And what purpose does this content serve? Is it supposed to rile people up, or is it supposed to build society? So.